The evening was grand, just like it always was. A long table, covered in ivory linens, stretched across the elegant dining hall. Crystal glasses sparkled under the warm glow of chandeliers, the air thick with the scent of aged wine and roasted duck. And laughter. Their laughter. My parents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. The people I had spent my whole life believing were my family. They all sat there, wine glasses in hand, plates filled with food I had unknowingly paid for. I should have been at the table with them, but I had stepped away, just for a moment, to take a business call. I had built my own company from the ground up, something no one in my family ever thought I could do. And now, I was successful, wealthy, respected. I thought they were finally proud of me. I felt like I fit in, until I came back. I heard my father's voice as I was concealed behind the thick velvet curtains just outside the dining hall. She's too stupid to notice. We merely keep her around for her money. Laughter. Loud. Unrestrained. My mother sighed dramatically. Honestly, I thought she would have caught on by now. But instead, our little moron just keeps paying for everything. Happy to be included. I went cold. A creeping cold spread through my chest, replacing the warmth of the evening. One of my uncles chuckled. Dreadful. She genuinely believes that she belongs here. I felt sick to my stomach. I grasped the curtain's edge, my nails cutting into the cloth as their words pierced into my mind. I had tried to prove myself to them all my life. I paid for every family gathering. I paid for every extravagant vacation. I enabled every luxury they showed off. And all this time, they didn't love me. They showed me no respect at all. I was merely an ATM for them. I could have stormed in. I could have hurled my wine in their faces, yelled at them, and demanded to know how they could have betrayed me in this way. But I made myself breathe as my heart hammered in my ears. If they thought I was stupid, if they truly believed I was blind to their manipulation, then I would let them think that. Because they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. I forced a smile, smoothed my dress, and stepped back into the dining hall. My mother looked up, her face a picture of practiced sweetness. Everything okay, darling? As if she hadn't just pierced my heart. I nodded while maintaining a neutral look. Just a call for business. My dad gave me a nod of approval. Good girl. You should always be working. That's why you're successful. I tightened my jaw. You mean that's why YOURE successful? I sat down, letting them continue their performance. The conversation shifted to vacations, expensive watches, and stock market trends. Things they had never worked for. Things they had indulged in because of me. I had funded their lifestyle, thinking I was proving my worth to them. Not anymore. I smiled to myself, a plan already forming. Let them enjoy their luxuries while they could. Because soon it would all be ripped away. The first move, the next morning, I made my first call. Jacob, I said to my financial advisor, my voice steady, I want to remove all family members from my shared accounts. Immediately. A pause occurred. MAAM, are you sure? That includes all of them. My voice was sharp, unforgiving. Freeze all the cards except mine. If they try to use them, decline the transactions. My father called in the afternoon, enraged. What the hell is going on? He let out a bark. My card was declined at the golf club. I feigned confusion. Really? That's strange. He cursed under his breath. Fix it. Right now. I didn't. Instead, I watched as their illusion of wealth began to crumble. The beginning of the end. A week later, I attended a high-profile charity gala one my family had only ever gotten into because of me. They arrived, dressed in their designer wear, oblivious to the fact that tonight, their world would collapse. When it was my turn to speak, I walked onto the stage, my heart pounding. I took a deep breath, smiled at the audience, and raised my glass. It's an honor to be here tonight. And I want to thank those who supported me not because they wanted something from me, but because they believed in me. The room went silent. My parents shifted uncomfortably in their seats. I turned, my eyes locking into my father's. Unfortunately, I've also learned that some people only love you when you're useful to them. A ripple of whispers rippled across the audience. Mom's smile stiffened. Dad's face paled. I took a sip of champagne, relishing the moment. So, as of today, I am cutting all financial ties with those who took advantage of my success. Gasps, murmurs. I noticed my mother holding the tablecloth, her knuckles white. It was done. The repercussions. By the next morning, my phone was swamped with missed calls and unread messages, all from my parents. I didn't respond. Rather, I sipped my coffee slowly and observed the mayhem as it happened. By lunchtime, my mother's name flashed on my screen again. I picked up this time. "You dare," she screeched. "Are you even aware of what you did?" "Good morning to you too, Mother. The bank froze our accounts. Our cards are getting declined. We can't even get into the country club." I swirled my coffee, leaning back in my chair. I said, in a tone that was uncannily similar to hers from the dinner night, "Oh, that's strange." My father's voice boomed in the background. "Fix this. Right now." I almost laughed at the entitlement dripping from his voice. I had funded their entire lifestyle, yet they still spoke to me like I owed them something. I tapped my fingers against the table. "I doubt that I shall. Quiet." Then my mother's voice dropped to a sickly sweet tone. "I believe there has been a misunderstanding, darling. Why don't we sit down and I heard everything." I cut in. Every unmarried word. Quiet. But this time, it was heavy. "What? What do you mean?" my mother whispered. I grinned. Allow them to fester in their fear, because this was just the start. The silence on the other end of the call was thick, like a choking fog. My mother was the first to recover. Her voice softened into that fake, syrupy tone she always used when she wanted something. "Sweetheart, I don't know what you think you heard, but you're overreacting. We love you." It nearly made me chuckle. They loved me? No, they loved what I provided. I leaned back in my chair, twisting the knife. "Really? You love me? Or do you just love my money?" "Of course not." She let out a shaky breath, her voice almost pleading now. "You're our daughter. We would never. You called me an idiot." I cut in, my voice like ice. "Said I was too stupid to notice that you were using me." Dead silence. Then my father's voice sharp, enraged. "You were eavesdropping?" I rolled my eyes. "That's your takeaway from this? That I overheard you?" "Not that you said it," he scoffed, as if he were the one who had been wronged. "We were joking." "You are displaying sensitivity. Now, before you embarrass yourself, work with the bank to resolve this nonsense." Embarrass myself? It dawned on me then. They still thought they had control over me. Like I would just bend their will if they pushed hard enough. They had no idea. I took a deep breath and delivered the final blow. "We're done. You're disconnected. For good." My mother gasped, like I had just stabbed her in the chest. "You can't do that!" My father's rage boiled over. "The hell she can't! We made you! We raised you! You owe us!" I clenched my jaw, my fingers tightening around my phone. "I owe you? For what purpose? Using me? Mocking me? Leeching off me while pretending I was part of this family?" His voice dropped into a low growl. "You'll regret this." Click. I ended the call. And just like that, it was done. The repercussions start. The next few days were magnificent pandemonium. My lawyer sent cease and desist letters to every single family member who had access to my assets. The credit cards were turned down. Their membership to the private golf club retracted. The luxury vacations they had planned canceled. And the house? My favorite part was that, because the mansion my parents used to host their ostentatious parties and boasted about to their friends wasn't truly theirs. It was mine, and they had no idea until they got the eviction notice. The call from my mother came at 7 a.m., frantic and shrill. "You can't do this! We have nowhere to go!" I sipped my coffee, watching the sunrise from my penthouse balcony. "Not my problem," she sobbed. "Where are your parents?" I let out a deep sigh, my patience growing razor thin. "I gave you everything, and you made fun of me the instant you believed I wasn't paying attention. Used me, called me an idiot. You made it obvious that all I was to you was a wallet." She tried again, switching tactics. "We were just talking, darling. Families say things they don't mean." I grinned. "Families, I suppose, also do things they don't mean to do, like cutting people off." She gasped, as if she couldn't believe I was standing my ground. I glanced at the time. "You have 2 weeks to vacate the house. Where will we go?" I gave a shrug. "It's not my problem." And I hung up. Vanessa's breakdown, I knew my cousin Vanessa would call eventually. For years, she had been living like a princess on my dime. Designer clothes, luxury vacations, and expensive jewelry, all funded by me. Thus, her voice was filled with anger when she called 3 days later. "You absolute bitch!" I grinned, already finding this enjoyable. "Good morning to you too, Vanessa. You froze my credit cards." I pretended to be worried. "Oh no, what a tragedy. You might have to, what's the word, budget," she snarled. "You think you're so smart, don't you?" I rested against my desk, utterly calm. "Apparently smarter than you, since you're the one complaining about being broke, and I'm the one with money." Her breath caught, and then she made her final, desperate attempt. "You're nothing without us." I let her words float in the air. Then I laughed. "That's where you're wrong, Vanessa. I was nothing because of you." Click. She was gone, just like my family, and I felt free for the first time. A new beginning with a glass of wine in my hand, I sat on my balcony that evening while the city lights were shining below. For years I had fought for their love, pleaded for their blessing. For a seat at the table, they paid for their lives. Now, though, I had constructed the table myself, and they? They had nothing. I took another sip of wine and grinned to myself. Let them go hungry. On my dime, my family had lived like kings and queens for years. Right now, they were crashing, and I was going to savor every second of it. The first actual repercussion, my father was the first to do it. Power was the foundation of the man's entire persona. He flashed his gold watch as if it made him untouchable, walked into restaurants where everyone knew his name, and shook hands with those who appreciated his fortune. He was devastated when his favorite steakhouse declined his card. The manager, a man who had once bent over backward to accommodate him, didn't even try to hide his amusement. "I apologize, sir, but is there another way I may pay you?" I wish I could have seen my father's face. Because he didn't. His entire lifestyle depended on me. And now, he was nothing. The house of cards collapses a week past. Next, 2. The eviction notice I had served on my parents kicked in. Naturally, they resisted it, threatening to sue me, blaming me, and even saying I was mistreating them. But the law was on my side. The house was legally mine. They could either depart amicably or the sheriff would drag them out. And I'll tell you what, seeing my father, who used to rule over everyone, have to pack up his priceless belongings into flimsy moving boxes, it was wonderful. My mom cried as if she were getting a prison sentence. Completely detached, I watched from my car parked across the street. Because these were the same folks who had laughed about using me. They didn't apologize. They were only sad they got caught. Vanessa's public humiliation. The demise of Vanessa was magnificent. She had formed her entire personality around being the glamorous, rich cousin. I used my money to pay for first-class flights, influencer parties, and designer clothing. She therefore panicked when the credit cards were turned off, and the opulent lifestyle abruptly and shrilly came to an end. She thought she could recover fake it till she made it. Then the worst possible thing happened. A video was leaked. A buddy of a friend filmed her having a tantrum at a fancy boutique. Vanessa had marched in, draped in last season's designer dress, demanding they put items on hold for her. Vanessa lost her temper when the cashier gently told her that her account was frozen. "Do you know who I am?" she screeched. "Yes, ma'am," the cashier responded. "You're the woman who just got her card declined." The video went viral. She became a joke. She began to be shunned by members of her social circle who had flocked to her wealth. That evening, she attempted to phone me. I didn't pick up, because I wasn't her safety net anymore. The plea deal. The next morning, my mother showed up at my penthouse. She looked different. No pricey pearls. No fitted designer outfit. Just a simple outfit and puffy, red-rimmed eyes. I opened the door, raising a brow. "You are brave to come here." She stepped inside, looking around nervously. "For yourself, you've done well." "Yes, I have," she sighed, wringing her hands. "Observe, Olivia. We erred. The truth is," I laughed, "you didn't make mistakes, Mom. You made choices. Calculated, deliberate choices." She winced. I folded my arms. "What are you looking for?" Her lip trembled. "We can fix this. We can reunite as a family." Ah, it was there. The final act. They had experimented with manipulation, threats, anger, and denial. Now, they were down to their last move, fake remorse. I gazed at her. She wasn't here because she loved me. She was here because she was losing. As I sipped my coffee slowly, I observed her wriggling. After that, I put down my cup and uttered the words I had been holding back for years. No. Her head snapped up. What? I looked her in the eyes. No, Mom. We can't fix this. Because you irreparably damaged it. Tears welled in her eyes. But we're your family. I smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach my eyes. No, Mom. You're not. I pulled the door open. Now get out of my house. She stared at me, shocked, like she had never once considered that I would go away. However, I did. I walked away from all of them, and I didn't turn around. The taste of freedom, a week later, I sat on my penthouse balcony, watching the city lights flicker below me. My phone buzzed. Kayla texted, Kayla, so what's next? I sipped my wine and grinned. Because right now, I was finally free. And my life, the one I constructed, the one I controlled, was only getting started. The following morning, I awoke with an odd sensation in my chest. Lightness. No more frantic phone calls. No more phony excuses. No longer being their personal ATM. For the first time in years, I was free, and I had no intention of wasting it. The final attempt, as I was enjoying my coffee, my phone began to buzz once more. This time, it wasn't Vanessa. Not my mother, my dad. I stared at his name on the screen, debating whether I should let it go to voicemail. Then I sighed and picked up. Might as well enjoy the last act of their downfall. What? I said flatly. A pause occurred, then a long, slow sigh. Olivia. He uttered my name as though it were a burden, as if, in spite of everything, he still believed I owed him something. I assume your mother told you we're leaving the house. I reclined in my chair and gazed at the skyline. She did. It was a great conversation. His tone became tense. I hope you're content. You've humiliated us. We established a reputation and a life, and you destroyed it all because of a miscommunication. I chuckled. A misunderstanding? You actually called me a fool while you were using my money, Dad. Quiet. The last card comes next. He believed that one thing would still function. You're going to regret this. I grinned. No, Father. I think, for the first time in my life, I won't. And I hung up, watching the empire burn. The news came in waves. First, Vanessa was shunned by her social circle. The woman who threw a fit in a high-end boutique was not someone anyone wanted to be connected with. Then the economic dealings of my parents fell apart. Without my money backing them, investors backed out. And finally, the eviction. They departed the mansion under the cover of night, putting what little they could into moving trucks. Like mice leaving a drowning ship, I choose not to watch. I didn't have to, because I wasn't looking back for the first time in my life. An upcoming chapter Kayla arrived a few days later. As she entered my apartment, her gaze swept over the open windows, the contemporary furnishings, and the life I had created for myself. She smiled. Gosh, live. This is the way of life. I gave her a glass of wine while grinning. It is damn right. The city was shining below us as we sat on my balcony. She looked at me after taking a sip of her drink. So, no regrets? I let her questions settle before slowly exhaling. Did I make a mistake by interrupting them? Was it a mistake for me to pick myself over them? I reflected on the years of usage. How they made fun of me behind my back. The way I lived my life attempting to win unattainable love. I grinned as well. Not one at all. The last farewell month went by. Then I got an invitation one morning. A formal letter in my mother's exquisite handwriting, printed on pricey cardstock. Greetings, Olivia. Time to recover. Let's all get together for dinner. Let's put this behind us. Mom, I love you. I spent a lot of time looking at the letter. They were still the same. They didn't apologize. All they wished to do was alter history. I picked up a pen and scrawled the following on the invitation's reverse. Greetings, Mom. This is already behind me. You ought to. Farewell. That same day, I returned it by mail. And I was really liberated after that. An explosion did not occur. No grand finale. No last yelling match in which my relatives cursed my name or pleaded for my pardon. Just silence. I was also unaware of the beauty that may be found in quiet. The final threads revealed. I thought they would make one final desperate effort. A last-ditch effort to get me back in. Rather, nothing. No more phone calls. No more emails. No more well-planned attempts to make me feel bad about all I had done. At last they got it. I had left, and I had no intention of returning. The new reality of Vanessa, a mutual acquaintance, texted me a month later. Someone who formerly worshipped Vanessa but now had nothing to gain from her is said to be mutual. Samantha, the first recently saw Vanessa. I assumed you wanted an update. I nearly disregarded it. However, then Samantha, she was manning a boutique's register, appeared to be in a bad mood. I blinked. Vanessa. My relative, who earlier wore fashionable clothes and mocked those who led normal lives. Right now? Among them was she. I briefly considered feeling sorry for her, however, I didn't. Because she had choices. I offered her the trust fund, which she could have taken, may have started over or sought financial counseling. However, she decided to destroy her bridges instead. I didn't do it. I set my phone down and continued. The home that never belonged there. The mansion sat deserted. My parents gone. It was mine in a technical sense. I could have moved in legally. However, I didn't. Because of that house, never has it felt like home. I therefore listed it for sale. An offer was received a few weeks later. A youthful couple. Neither of them was a millionaire. They did not climb socially. Just two individuals seeking a home to start a life together. Along with their offer, they issued a letter. It said, "We adore this home. We envision it as a place where kindness and love flourish and where laughing abounds." I immediately accepted their offer because that house would be what it was supposed to be for the first time. An actual house. A life is actually mine. I no longer experience anxiousness when I wake up. I avoid checking my phone because I'm afraid of the messages that might be there. I don't think anyone needs to see how good I am. I travel instead. I make investments in myself. I give to organizations that truly deserve it. And when I enter a space, I enter as Olivia, not their pocketbook, not their joke, not their idiot, only me. And that is more valuable than any amount of money.